Good evening. Good evening, everyone. Good evening. Let's see. I hope that everyone has had a safe evening. I know so many areas are full of snow, and we have plenty of it here. We have plenty of snow here. I thank God for our safety. Thank God for keeping us during this time. Thank God for His grace and His mercy. We are here, the moment, with End Time Care, and we are here live. Thank God. Going back into our lesson of loving properly. And, last week we talked about what love is and what love is not. And so tonight, what I wanted to talk about is we basically talked about guarding our hearts with this love when we're defining what love is and what it isn't. Because sometimes, we talked last week about the wrong people defining love. And because the wrong people are defining love, the response to love is being manipulated. It's being mishandled. And so a lot of people, their hearts are stony, or their hearts, they're trying to protect their hearts, but while you're protecting your heart, you're also shielding yourself from the greatest experience possible. Because we limit ourselves to our experiences rather than our innate ability to love. So what I want to do is I want to go back and I want to read 1 Corinthians, the 13th chapter, okay? And again, the title is The Greatest Gift. The Greatest Gift. Okay, and it reads, though I speak with the tongues of men and of angels, but have not love. And I'm reading in the New King James Version, because I know that the King James Version talks of charity, which equates to love. But this is what the New King James Version says. Though I speak with the tongues of men and angels, but have not love, I have become sounding brass or a clanging cymbal. And though I have the gift of prophecy and understand all mysteries and all knowledge, and though I have all faith so that I could remove mountains but have not love, I am nothing. Whew. And though I bestow all my goods to feed the poor, and though I give my body to be burned but have not love, it profits me nothing. Love suffers long and is kind. Love does not envy. Love does not parade itself, is not puffed up, does not behave rudely, does not seek its own, is not provoked, thinks no evil, does not rejoice in iniquity, but rejoices in the truth, bears all things, believes all things, hopes all things, endures all things. Love never fails, but whether there are prophecies, they will fail. Whether there are tongues, they will cease. Whether there is knowledge, it will vanish away. For we know in part and we prophesy in part. But when that which is perfect has come, then that which is in part will be done away. When I was a child, I spoke as a child. I understood as a child. I thought as a child. But when I became a man, I put away childish things. For now we see in a mirror dimly lit, in a mirror dimly, but then face to face. Now I know in part, but then I shall know just as I also am known. And now by faith, hope, love, these three, but the greatest of these is love. So this, Paul is speaking here of all the things that we could possibly do, everything that we could possibly bring our minds to, every act that we can possibly, and we say that love is an action word, but love is an action word that is guided by a spirit, that is guided by a right spirit, because we have some people who do a lot of love actions, but they don't have love in their heart. What they're doing is they're doing the things that they want to do so that they can be seen doing them. We have a lot of people who, even, even with the things that we're finding out now and all of these, everything that's coming to light now, files and all of this stuff, we realize that some people are using the act of giving as an apology. And that's what a lot of times a lot of people do. They'll treat you very, very bad. They treat you very, very bad. And then in the process, instead of saying, I apologize, they'll use gifts. They'll give you gifts, and it is up to us to forgive, and it's up to us to receive what has not been spoken as an apology. But the greater work is on the inside of us. Help me not to lose my innate character and my gift of love. That's the thing. Help me not to lose my gift of love. And so Paul was telling us here, it's like, you can do all these things. I can give up my life. I can be burned. I can, I can give away all of my possessions. But if I haven't done it in love, I've done it in vain. I've done it in vain. And if I'm constantly talking about how much I love someone, or I use these love words, and I'm constantly doting on someone, and if I don't have love, I'm just making noise. I'm just making noise. And sadly, I will say that a lot of people have been in committed relationships with noisemakers. And I'm not just talking about boyfriend, girlfriend. I'm not talking about husband, wife. I'm not talking about those committed relationships. I'm talking about relationships, period. Friendships, all family ships, all kinds of relationships based off of someone's noise. Because it's hard for us, it's hard for you to think that someone actually can say the words and really not mean them. But the truth is that you have to follow what is beyond what is done. You have to look at, and looking at what is said, you have to see how what is done when it's said. You have to see how what is done when it's said. Example, Jesus was born in, he was born in his hometown, right? Said Jesus of Nazareth. So as Jesus was growing up, they couldn't believe that he was who he was. They couldn't believe that he was the Son of God, that he actually was the Messiah. And Jesus did not stay there to try and prove to them that he was who he was. He realized that if I continue to stay here, what I'm going to do is, for the rest of my life, I'm going to be trying to prove to these people who I really am, instead of having the freedom of living and allowing God to liberate him into who he was. Why stay somewhere where you have to constantly prove to someone who you are? Sometimes we love people, and people, they have a hard time giving love, and they have a hard time receiving love, because they don't know what love is. And in those instances, yes, you do have to learn how to protect yourself in that love. You have to learn how to protect yourself in that love. Okay. And so tonight we're going to talk about some things that, how do we protect ourselves? Okay. How do we protect ourselves with our innate character to love? All right. And okay, so protecting the gift of love within you. Okay, protecting this gift of love. Love is not something that you just give. Okay, it's not just something that you just give. It is something God placed on the inside of us. We would not know love if God had not placed it on the inside of us. We wouldn't. We wouldn't. It's a gift that God has given us. And even though we're born in sin and shapen in iniquity, our gift, the spirit of love, is on the inside of us. If the spirit of love wasn't on the inside of us, we would not be able to experience disappointment. Disappointment comes from the hope of love, and the hope of love is always on the inside of us. The hope of love. So therefore, if the hope of love is always on the inside of us, we know we have an innate feeling, an innate spiritual awareness of love, right? And so it's something that God placed on the inside of us. It's an innate gift. And if we're not careful and we allow people to mishandle, we can allow people to mishandle what is sacred on the inside of us. And when people mishandle what is sacred on the inside of us, then we look for outside sources to fill that void. So, this is where you get the gangs. This is where you get the gangs, and you get the people searching for love in all of these different places, because of the fact that their love that's on the inside of them has been manipulated. It's been manipulated. And then if you haven't been taught, if you haven't been taught how to handle the gift of love on the inside of you, then when you go to these other places and you allow these other places to teach you how to express that love, is expressed wrong. Is expressed wrong. So here is why we have to protect it. Okay, we have to. This is how we do protect our love. Okay, first, separate love from access. Separate love from access. Okay, we can love someone without giving them access to our life. Oh my goodness, we can definitely love someone without giving them access to our life. Everyone doesn't have to have access to your life. You don't have to be so open to everyone. And I'm not saying be nasty. Lord knows I'm not saying that. But you can love someone and still have standards and boundaries within that relationship, right? You can still have standards and boundaries within that relationship. Love does not require proximity. It does not require continued exposure to harm. If we notice that, and you can tell a lot of times people, we overlook the obvious. We overlook the obvious. We get into these friendships, these relationships, and from the beginning, we can look and see that this is saying, this might not work. But then sometimes we go say, okay, well, I'm going to give them another chance. It's okay. Everybody is not for everybody, and it's okay. It really is okay. You can still love someone and still maintain distance for your own sanity and for your own ability to be restored and replenished. Love properly. Love properly. God says that we're supposed to love everyone. Yes, love everyone. But that doesn't mean that I have to hang out with everyone. You can't. You honestly cannot hang out with everyone. And if you do, then you're exposing yourself to so much that you wind up messing yourself up. You can wind up messing yourself up. Okay? Number 2, you can refuse to participate in lies. Refuse to participate in lies. Refuse to participate in anything that is negative. And this is how we're protecting our love, the gift that's on the inside of us. Refuse, if you hear it at the beginning, in the beginning of the story, in the beginning of what it is about to be shared or discussed, don't participate in it. Don't participate in it. And if someone is prompting you to lie, just like, we watch these little shows where, these let's just say these teen girls are going out and they're telling mother, okay, I'm going to tell my mother I'm at your house. And then you tell your mother that that you're at my house. And then we'll go out and we'll go to a party. That is not love. That is manipulation. And if a relationship starts off like that, it cannot get any better. It cannot get any better. So you have to refuse to participate in lies. Do not lie for someone. Do not cover for someone's dysfunction. Sometimes we try to make excuses for people being the way that they are. They say, oh, well, that's just the way that they are. Well, then maybe they might need to, someone needs to tell them that they are the way that they are so that maybe they can stop it. You know, because sometimes the truth needs to be told so that someone can move beyond the lie. The truth needs to be told so that someone can move beyond the lie. Do not allow your integrity to be compromised in the name of love. Lord have mercy. If protecting someone requires you to violate truth, you are no longer operating in love. That is a controlled mentality. And if you fear it, because it's on every level. You know, certain people call and they have a spirit upon you and you say, oh, I got to answer this phone. I got to answer this call. That's not true. You don't have to. You don't have to. If someone has the reins over you and you're realizing that you're subject to them, that is not love. That is manipulation and that is control. And it can happen across the board. It can happen across the board. Number 3, recognize unfruitful situations. Jesus said, you will know them by their fruit. Ask yourself, is this producing peace? Is this producing growth? And is this producing mutual respect? If not, you may need to distance yourself and not cause hatred. You may not, I remember I was talking to someone and I said, if you realize you're in a situation and the situation is not benefiting you, first, make sure you're being right. Make sure you're not the one that's causing the problem. Make sure that your spirit is right. And if you don't know whether or not your spirit is right, I can guarantee you ask God to help you to figure out whether or not your spirit is right. He will send someone to you to let you know. He definitely will, right? But if you realize that something is not benefiting you and your spirit is trying to be as right as you can possibly be, don't wait until you get into an argument or you until the situation gets cloudy for you to leave. You can always say, you know what, I don't think that this is working for us, and I think that, we probably need to just take some time apart, or either just, say, I thank you for the friendship, and just let things be. But the constant, the repeated exposure to unfruitful situations depletes you. It depletes you. And when you're depleted, it exhausts you as well. And so not only do you not have love for others, what we don't realize is when we're exhausted to that extent, not only do we not have love for others, we don't have love for ourselves. We don't have love for ourselves because after a while, I won't see myself as not only loving, but as lovable. Because I've let other people deplete me so much. And I've constantly exposed myself to these repetitive situations where my love is being depleted. And so I begin to wonder what is wrong with me. And the answer is, what's wrong with me is that I keep allowing myself to be subject to these circumstances. So remove yourself from stuff like that, okay? Removing yourself without removing love. We can remove ourselves without removing love. This is where maturity comes in, okay? You can leave a situation without leaving love. You can say, I wish you well. I release you. I refuse to be mistreated. I forgive, but I will not return to dysfunction. And you can be bold on it. Sometimes people don't want to hurt other people's feelings so much that we keep letting our own feelings be hurt. And when you do separate yourself, you don't have to do it nasty. You don't have to be nasty. You can separate yourself in love. Like I say, you don't have to wait for an argument to occur in order for you to move out of the way. Love does not mean that you remain in what is unfruitful. Even Jesus walked away. We talked about that. Jesus walked away from towns that rejected his truth. Leaving is not hatred. Leaving can be obedience. We can be leaving out of obedience to God and allowing God to replenish us and to grow them, to grow us and to grow them. Sometimes we stay in a situation and not only are we subjecting ourselves to these constant exposure, but if someone else has a harsh behavior, or even if we have harsh behavior, Lord forgive us if we do. But if we have harsh behavior, or if someone else has harsh behavior, me staying there prevents someone else from being able to grow beyond what they're doing. Because who knows, it might be my face that constantly makes them upset. And if I'm constantly making them upset, then I'm preventing them from being able to grow because I keep showing up. Okay? Do not allow love to be deceived. Okay? Love should not be manipulated. It should not be twisted, threatened, or used. If someone constantly lies to you and calls it protection, that is not love. If someone controls you and calls it care, that is not love. If someone shames you and calls it correction, that is not love. Love does not control, deceive, or require you to shrink. Love strengthens all parties involved. If my so-called love for you makes you feel less than, then that's a problem. If I have to look big in order to make you look small, and I'm telling you that that is love, that is wrong. That is a problem. If I truly love you, and if there's something in you that is growing and you are becoming great and you are just growing and just progressing and being productive, I should cheer you on. No matter who I am. If I say that I love you, I should cheer you on. If I'm not cheering you on and what you're hearing from me sounds like jealousy, then that's definitely not love. It's definitely not love. And I always say jealousy is a spirit of with a fruit of with no root. It is a fruit with no root. Sometimes you don't know where jealousy comes from. You don't know how to get rid of it. But if I notice within myself that I am expressing some characteristics of something that I don't know where it's coming from, then I need to get down on my knees and I need to pray and ask God to remove it from me, because I need to not abide. Because if I just ignore it, then it's going to grow. And jealousy turns to hatred, and hatred turns to, oh my goodness. And then the actions that go along with these spirits is a mess. It's a mess. Love never fails. Love never fails. This does not mean that relationships never fail. It means true love never collapses into corruption. If it turns into cruelty, deceit, or manipulation, it was never love to begin with. It was never love to begin. Real love remains clean. Real love remains clean. And this, even in, I'm gonna use something that's very, very very, very strong. And I'm going to talk about divorce for a little bit. Okay. Now I know, everyone hasn't been married to be divorced, but talking about real love being clean, right? When a divorce occurs or a separation happens, just because wrong was done does not mean that real love now goes out there and tells everybody, every detail of what happened. Real love says, you know what? This happened. We're no longer together, but I'm not going to bash that person's head in. I'm not going to kick them in their backs. Real love has dignity. Real love is mature. Real love allows their character and their reputation to be maintained. Even in the midst of being hurt, even in the midst of feeling pain and having sorrow in the process of it. Is it going to hurt? Yes. When we lose relationships, when we lose these friendships and all of these things, these connections, it does hurt. But it doesn't mean that we have to be the first one to go out and let me get my story out first so that people can know that I wasn't the one, or that it real love says, okay, I'm just going to walk away. That's what real love says. And that's hard. That's hard. But that's where maturity comes in. And real love is mature. Real love is mature. Real life, some of the instructions that we can apply, right? Some of the instructions that we can apply in order to build up our ability to really love, okay? One thing we want to do is we want to stop calling dysfunction love. It's not it. It's not it. And we know what dysfunction looks like. That is not love, right? And sometimes we have to be taught what is dysfunction because we've been calling it love for so long, or we've accepted it as love because we haven't had anything else for so long that this is our definition of love. We can stop tolerating lies to keep connection. Stop shrinking to make others comfortable. Evaluate the fruit of every close relationship. Separate forgiveness from continued access. Pray for people, but protect your peace. And refuse to let your ability to love become damaged by someone else's inability to love. Our love is not naive, it is sacred, and we have to guard it. We have to make sure that when we're loving, that we're doing just that. We don't allow ourselves to look foolish. And sometimes you say love can make you look foolish, but if we're really mature, God won't allow us to look foolish. If we're seeking God and searching for him and relying on him to teach us everything in this life about love, and if we're following his ordinances of love, we won't look foolish. We would just be mature in loving and love properly. That means that if I have to walk away, I just have to walk away. That means that if I have to tell you, no, I'm not telling somebody that for you, I'm not telling somebody that for you. And if it means that I'm not accepting what you're giving me because you're not giving me love, then that means that I'm just not going to accept it. I have to protect my peace and I have to guard my love. I have to guard my love. And in order for me to keep loving, I have to receive love properly. In order for me to give love properly, I have to receive love properly. And if it's not proper love, then I can't give proper love. Right? So that is our discussion for tonight. I thank you all for being here. As I stated before, we are going to begin our book club, my book club. And if you would like to if you would like to be a part of the book club, the first book we're going to read is the Bible, and we're going to read that throughout the year. So we're going to start off reading the Bible, and then there are going to be other books that are going to join in. I also have a book coming out. I will let you know the name of that book and when we're going to have the launch party for that book. I'm so excited. We're going to have the launch party for that book and when and where you can get it. That will be coming up soon within the next couple of weeks. And I just thank you so much for sticking here with me in these lives. I love you all so much. I love you to life, and I want you to live, and I want you to survive. I thank God for everyone that's here that comes every Monday that I'm on. And I just want you to know that you are a blessing to me. I pray and hope that you all stay safe, that you all stay warm, and that the Lord will allow us to come together again next Monday. Be blessed.